Hello and welcome, and thanks for stopping by to All My Art and Soul. I'm Michele Holden, and today's video is Of Earth and Sky number 17. And as you can see, there is a considerate collection here of neutral collage papers, I would call them, with some highlights of color. Apologies right from the beginning. For some reason, I lost just the first part of this video, so it's going to start with jump into applications already happening. For example, as you can see, I started with the watercolor pastels underneath, and I wanted to go for a neutral piece of work. And right now you can see that is tissue paper that I printed with the Jelly Plate printer. I'm using yellow oxide, orange, Titan buff, and teal. And I'm trying to maintain a horizontal abstract. So this piece of paper I just made the other day. I just felt like I just needed some more numbers, and I used my brayer with some leftover paint and rolled over them. The writing, as you can see, is just done with a very small brush on a newsprint paper, because it's a nice and neutral and it fades and looks old quickly. And the piece in the middle is from an old text that I find in my local bookstore, and I love them. And of course, other black and white pieces. And the number piece that I have showing and trying to place around, I never did end up using. So here's a neutral. You'll see me peek at that I think it's the second one, where it's just simple. And I've been trying, I must say, to get back to that particular style of abstract. And I think what the issue is, as I've been thinking about it, as I've been thinking about my narration that I'm doing now, the voiceover for this video, there's a certain mindset where I just grab stuff and sit down and just begin. But I think, and sometimes the journal page takes you on its own journey. It's just like that. So it's been quite a challenge trying to get back to that particular simple style, but definitely not easy, as I've said before. So what I end up happening is I decided to put the Titan buff over top, and I really like the thin layer that it created, and still finding a spot for that neutral piece. But in the end, it did turn out, even though, again, my tape gave me a very hard time, as you will soon see. So stick to the end. It's not to tear the tape, because it's rather painful. So in this piece, I was hunting around, and then lo and behold, I flipped it over, and I thought, wow, this is way better on the other side. Why? Because it's just a spontaneous mark. I'm using the collage paper, and then trying to find the direction, and there it is. These glue sticks are great. And just for some reason, it just needed some open space, maybe, an interesting sporadic pink and ochre mark. And as the top portion dries, I began to like it a lot more because of the layering underneath. And that's a really good thing to take note of. When you're putting another, like a white or an opaque layer, you might want to thin it down a little bit with, I guess you could just use a little water, or, because you shouldn't use too much water with acrylics, a thinning medium. It's a pouring medium that you can add to your paint, and it gives it a way more fluid feel and action. So, and then when I put that half circle, which is that handcrafted paper again, I have big giant sheets of it. I really like the differences that it created. And here, this is a piece of my own laser print of my own photography of my of water and the reflections, and ultimately, just that little piece alone is what I'm aiming for in my abstract series, which I find can be very different from my mixed media collage series. So I don't know what you think about that. Is it okay to have such a different quality to two different types of work that you do? Should you aim for middle road? I don't know. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts about that. So this piece is a little on the busier side, and I think ultimately I'm trying to stay away from skies, but for some reason it's just not happening in these. When I start and just begin, but when I really set a particular intention and some definitely more thought in color choices and composition. So ultimately, I think the sky, if it was just flat, tight and buff, and just a very simple, flat background, it would have given this piece more space. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind for the next one. And that's what I love about this stuff. You just never know what's going to happen. I must say this piece was a little on the frustrating side, but it still turned out very nicely. So instead of using the teal paint, which is still there on my palette, I decided to put this tiny piece of blue tissue paper, and mostly because of its transparency. Tissue paper is really, really amazing for that. So then I decided let's try this. So as soon as I put those down, I go, no, they're just like flashlights. It's just too much going on. It was so much better with so much less. Less is more. So then I start thinking about different ways. Should I cover them up? Should I wipe them off? Better to wipe them now while they're still wet. And then here I go, and then I begin to make a very big mess of this piece, but switch to a dabbing technique with different clean areas of the cloth, and it turns out okay. And you know what? That's just how it went. So here I am with a much cleaner piece, and I decide to grab that piece of neutral to help cover it, and it does add to it right there. Except I wasn't happy with the scale, so it was a little too large, so I just tore it down a bit more, and voila, there it is. And then I end up using that another piece of image that I take and then print on laser paper, just because of the glossy paper is better for collage, for your own images, I find, rather than just printer paper, which I've used anyway, doesn't really matter. And here I go with, I think I'm going to apply one more piece. And of course the tape issue, so I just skipped that part. Just because I don't want you watching this video, watching me struggle with this tape. I will rectify this situation. So as you can see, the collage paper went over the edge, and that's why it's holding down the tape. So using a nice sharp knife, taking down the edge. And I do believe I do a few more things to this piece, trimming those edges. And looking at it now, there is enough horizontal going on, and I really do like that piece that I put. And as you can see, the edges got a little more messy. It was a very messy day. You know, one of those days where things are tearing, you're dropping your art supplies, there's too much noise in the background. It was just one of those days. So here I am signing it in pencil. And there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be making much more, and I'll see you in the next video.